Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Maybe I was one of the few people that liked the Redskins defense as a possible sleeper for your team last year, as they did bring in Albert Haynesworth. They did draft Brian Arapaho, tweener. He can play DN, linebacker, and I like those additions to a team that really had some decent stats. They just didn't make a lot of plays the year before. One key loss that they did have, and we've obviously seen that this was a big loss to them, was their defensive coordinator, Greg Williams. Remember, he went over to the New Orleans Saints. I think you might remember some of the things that they did with that team. Obviously that hurt them. They really fell back last year. They were 18th in points given up. They were 16th against the run. And they were still 9th against the pass, which isn't too bad. And actually, they did have 40 sacks, which was nice to see. But they still were under 30 total turnovers, and that's not great. This offseason, I don't like what I see. Even though this defense does have really good talent, I did like the fact that they picked up Maki Kiyamatu over from the Carolina Panthers. He missed all last season as he tore his Achilles tendon. That's definitely not a good injury, especially to a guy that's a defensive tackle and is going to have to use a lot of his body weight to keep pushing off. But still, if he can get recovered, that's a nice addition. What I don't like out of this defense, one, I don't like Albert Haynesworth's attitude this offseason and how he wants to whine and complain and wants to get traded and some of the other off-the-field issues that he's had this offseason. I don't like that, but at the end of the day, if he gets back into camp, I think he'll stop grumbling and probably get down to playing football. The other thing probably the thing I don't like the most is that they moved their defense from being a 4-3 base to a 3-4. I just don't think they really have the right personnel for that, especially if Maki can't play the nose tackle, if he's not ready to really take on that spot to be a true nose tackle, to be a real groater in there. If he's not ready because of the Achilles tendon, that's just not going to be that great for them. I don't think they have the true linebacking core. I mean, really, Andre Carter is much better. I mean, I'm a 49er fan, so I know with Carter, he was a good defensive end, kind of playing in an elephant position, but when they moved to a 3-4 defense and tried to move him into linebacker, that wasn't a good situation, and so he ended up moving off to the Redskins. And, he's been a productive player there as an end, but you move him back into linebacker, and that's not where he's best suited. So really, I don't think you're maximizing his talents on the front line and overall. And so, with this defense, I just don't think this was a good fit. We'll see how it works. They brought in Jim Haslett to run this. Obviously, he did a decent job with the Rams 2 years ago when he took over as the head coach. He was the defensive coordinator before that, but maybe they can get something out of it. I don't like that. They should still have a strong, solid secondary, as they do have talent in that area. If they can get Albert Haynesworth back and, stop whining and everything else, they should be decent up front, especially, again, if Maki can play. I think that's a big key. But overall, this is a defense that right now I would stay away from in your fantasy drafts, definitely. They have a lot to prove. Getting Donovan McNabb on the team was a good thing. They do have a rotational running back game, so maybe the new offensive line scheme, they can get some things done to not make the defense stay on the field so much. That really hurt this defense last year. But overall, we're just going to have to see how they actually come out and respond and play as the season moves along, as they're adjusting into this 3-4 defense, and if they can really be a fantasy relevant team. In the second half of the season, if they start figuring things out and get things moving, then this is a defense that you're going to want to pay attention to, because, again, they do have talent on this defense. They do have some guys that can make some plays. Keep an eye on them as we're rolling through the year. They might be a waiver wire pickup that's worth having for key plays as we're going through the season. But other than that, definitely not a defense I would pay attention to at your draft.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy